You don't forget the moment someone walks out on you like it's a business transaction, clean, cold, and carried out with the efficiency of a corporate merger. No tears, no drawn-out fights. Just a note. A digital hit-and-run. I deserve a successful man. That's what she wrote. No name, no goodbye. Just 6 words that gutted me harder than any fight ever could. It happened while I was on a trip, ironic, considering I was out there trying to close the very deals that were supposed to make me that successful man she wanted so badly. I had taken the red-eye to Tokyo, pitched for 14 hours straight, collapsed in a sterile hotel bed, and woke up to a ghost where my wife used to be. Her suitcase gone. Our shared photos wiped clean from her socials. Just that message blinking on my phone like a slap to the soul. She wanted someone more successful? Fine. But at the time, all I had was a failing startup, a maxed-out credit card, and a gut full of betrayal. I'd given up everything for that woman. Nights, weekends, sleep, sanity. She used to call me hers forever, until forever started running low on brand-name handbags and beachfront brunches. When I came back to the empty condo, the silence was the loudest thing I'd ever heard. I remember walking through each room, half expecting to find her still there, maybe hiding like it was some sick prank. But the only thing she left was her half-empty perfume bottle on the dresser drawer. Still smelled like her. It haunted me for months. But here's the thing about pain. It either breaks you, or it builds you into something bulletproof. And I don't do broken. So I got to work. I started sleeping on a couch in my office. Ate ramen and stale protein bars for dinner. Sold the condo, too many ghosts in those walls, and moved into a shoebox that doubled as a furnace in summer and a freezer in winter. I made a vow. No distractions, no attachments. Just focus. Grind. Build. She wanted success? I'd give her success. But not for her. For me. The nights were brutal. The kind of loneliness that presses down on your ribs like a weight. Every friend I thought I had vanished faster than $1 in Vegas. But that's when you find your edge. When the pain doesn't just fuel you, it defines you. 3 years later, I walked into my high school reunion. Didn't plan on going. But something told me to show up. Maybe that last ounce of masochism still left in me, just needing to see how far I'd come. So I went. And there she was, standing by the punch bowl in a red dress cut too sharp for her age, like she'd carved herself into the woman she thought Mint still wanted. Her hair looked good. I'll give her that. She'd always been good at packaging. She spotted me. Smirked. Who invited the poorest of the poor? She said. Loud enough to get laughs. Laughter, the applause of cowards. I just stood there, smiling. And then came my assistant, in heels sharp enough to slice egos, cutting through the room like a hot blade through butter. Everyone turned. Sir, she said, voice crisp, professional, and just loud enough to carry. Your private jet is ready. You could have heard a pin drop. I nodded. Thanks. Let's not keep the pilot waiting. Walked out without another word. Climbed into my Ferrari, my real one, not leased, not rented, not borrowed, and drove off. That night, I had 157 missed calls. All from one number. Hers. I never picked up. Because you don't owe closure to someone who buried you alive and called it a fresh start. You ever notice how silence becomes deafening when it's soaked in regret? She used to be the loudest woman in the room. Every party, every brunch, every rooftop affair with her champagne smile and surgically timed laughter. But that night, after my assistant's heels faded down the hallway and the roar of my Ferrari drowned out the last breath of her pride, I imagined the silence hit her like a freight train. 157 missed calls. No voicemails. Just her name lighting up my screen like a bad habit trying to claw its way back in. The first 20, I ignored out of pride. The next 50, out of spite. The rest? Out of principle. She didn't leave me because I failed. She left because I wasn't finished yet. She thought she was trading me in for the final product, didn't realize I was still in prototype. Rookie mistake. I didn't block her. I let the calls ring. Let them pile up like snow against the door of a house she'd never get back into. She needed to hear the silence from the other side this time. I wasn't interested in revenge. Not the way people think of it, anyway. No public scenes. No posts. No dramatic calls at 2 a.m. to say, look at me now. That's not how I play. Revenge, real revenge, is silent. It's success measured in decimals and digits. It's her scrolling through her phone, seeing headlines she used to imagine would be about her, now attached to my name. And it's the bitter aftertaste of realizing the table she flipped is now the empire she can't afford a seat at. But still, I watched. Because part of healing is knowing, not hoping, not assuming. So yeah, I had my assistant run a quiet background scrape. Nothing illegal. Just enlightening. She'd shacked up with some suit out of Manhattan. Real estate finance, the usual spreadsheet hotshot with leased cars and a line of credit longer than his attention span. Turns out the guy had 3 properties and 1 personality, one of those men who spends more time perfecting his golf swing than listening to the woman across the dinner table. They lasted a year and a half. Apparently, successful doesn't mean available, or loyal, or even interested. The best part? She left him too. No note this time. Just packed up, moved in with her cousin across the river, and tried to pick up freelance marketing work like it was still 2012 and hashtags were a career. She looked me up, too. I saw the alert. A tiny ping on my private social profile, restricted, of course. Just enough information to burn. She'd seen the photos. The launch gala. The magazine spread. The luxury AI firm I'd built from my garage and sold for $88 million. Me in a custom suit, not tailored for show, tailored for ownership. Me with my new team. Me shaking hands with men she used to beg to get meetings with. Her new reality? Single, 34, renting, rebranding herself on Instagram with vague captions about healing, journeys, and manifesting. Translation: I made a bet on someone else's future and lost. And still, the calls kept coming. You'd think she'd get the message by missed call number 64. But no. Hope is a stubborn little parasite. One day I answered. Not to talk. Not to scream. Just to hear the panic in her voice. And sure enough, there it was. That breathless, desperate silence. Hello, she said. I didn't respond. Just breathed. Let her hear the man she threw away. Is it really you? Click. It was a Tuesday. Ordinary enough. The sky was overcast. My morning espresso was late, and the quarterly numbers were exactly what I expected, better than what the board had dared hope. I had just wrapped up a call with an investor from Zurich when Janine, my assistant, poked her head into my office with that look. The one that says, "You're not going to like this, but I also can't stop it." Sir, she's here. I didn't have to ask who. Send her in. She walked through the door like a ghost with a good blowout. Same hair, different eyes. That glint she used to have, the one that used to cut through crowds and make men pause mid-sentence, was gone. Replaced by something duller. Hungrier. Long time, she said, like we were college friends bumping into each other at Whole Foods. Not long enough, I replied, keeping my eyes on the quarterly report. I didn't offer her a seat. She shifted, clearly expecting some version of the man she left behind. She didn't recognize this one. This one didn't chase. This one didn't ask why. I saw the article. The interview. Forbes. You always said you'd make it. No, sorry. No, I was wrong. Just her trying to pretend we were still on speaking terms, like the years hadn't happened. Like she hadn't humiliated me in front of a room full of old classmates with her smug little line. Who invited the poorest of the poor? I stayed silent. Let her flail. I've been thinking a lot. About us. About how things ended. Us. That word used to carry so much weight. Now it sounded like someone trying to claim a stock after the IPO. You want a tour? I said, finally looking up. Let me show you what a poor man built. She blinked. It wasn't the response she expected. I stood and walked to the window, hands in my pockets. The city spread out below my city now. Not because I owned it. Because I outworked it. You left me at my lowest, I said, calm, like I was reciting a weather report. Called me a failure. Then laughed when I walked into that reunion like I didn't belong. Her lips parted, but no words came out. I didn't need them. I'm not angry, I continued. I'm not bitter. I'm not even surprised. She stepped closer. Then why won't you talk to me? Why won't you answer any of my calls? Because I don't talk to ghosts. She froze. I mourned you. Not because you died, but because I did. The man you left behind, he's gone. You don't know this version. You don't deserve to. She sat down slowly, like her knees finally gave up pretending. I made a mistake, she said. That's the thing with people like her. They only call it a mistake when the consequences arrive wearing tailored suits and carbon fiber keys. No, I said. You made a choice. I walked to the door and opened it. Janine will see you out. She didn't move. Her mouth opened, closed, opened again. A fish out of water, trying to breathe in a world she no longer fit into. Goodbye, I said. And just like that, she was gone. Again. Except this time, I wasn't the one left behind. A week passed. Silence. No missed calls. No random texts. No desperate emails written at 2:17 a.m. and deleted by 2:19. At first, I thought she finally got the message. Then I remembered. People like her don't disappear. They strategize. She showed up again at one of my public panels. A Q&A session at a sleek downtown hotel, filled with industry heads, young entrepreneurs, reporters. I was sitting center stage under the soft buzz of spotlights, talking about perseverance, about vision, about building something no one could take from you. When I scanned the audience, there she was. Third row, wearing regret like it was Gucci, smiling like she had a backstage pass to my life. I didn't acknowledge her, didn't falter, didn't even blink. If anything, I leaned harder into the truth. Talked about how failure is the best cleansing fire you can walk through, and how betrayal was just nature's way of handing you scissors to cut the dead weight loose. The crowd loved it. I finished. Standing ovation. Cameras flashing. People surging forward with business cards, handshakes, proposals. Real people. Future people. She waited by the bar. I felt her gaze burning a hole in my back as I spoke to investors. She waited while I shook hands with old mentors who used to write me off. She waited while executives from Fortune 500 companies slipped me their private numbers. It must have killed her. Eventually, Janine appeared at my side again. God bless her timing. "There's a woman here," she said, voice dry. "Says she's an old friend. Wants to buy you a drink." I didn't even glance over. "Tell her I already own the bar." Janine gave a small, brutal smile. Already did. That night, when I climbed into my Ferrari and roared down the freeway, I didn't look back once. But the next morning, there it was. An email. Subject line. "Please." The body was even worse. "I made the worst mistake of my life. You were always the man I loved. I see that now. Please, let's talk. Please." The woman who once left me like last week's leftovers now lined her emails with desperation and do-overs. She didn't fall. She jumped. She leapt off the ledge of loyalty for what she thought was greener grass, only to find it was AstroTurf. And now, she was clawing her way back toward a door that had already been locked, sealed, bricked over. Because what she didn't understand, the thing she never understood, was simple. When you bury a man alive, he doesn't come back to be yours. He comes back to build a world so far above you, you'll need a telescope just to watch him leave. 3 weeks. That's how long she stayed quiet after the email. And I knew what that silence meant. It wasn't surrender, it was calculation. She was regrouping, probably pacing around some half-furnished condo lit by vanity mirrors and hollow self-help quotes taped to the fridge. Calling every friend who hadn't blocked her yet, rehearsing lines in the mirror, trying to figure out how to make me the villain of a story she wrote in her own lipstick. Then came the card, a literal one, hand-delivered to my office. No envelope, just a white square with shaky handwriting on the front. Lunch. Inside, a photo of us from 6 years ago. Paris. Her leaning on me, laughing. Me looking at her like she was the only thing that mattered. I remember that trip. I remember how I emptied half my savings to make it happen. I remember the dress she wore that day, the one I found out later she'd worn again, on a date, with someone else. The photo wasn't a memory. It was a grave marker. I left the card on my desk. Didn't respond. 2 days later, she came herself. Walked into the lobby of my office building like she still belonged in my orbit. Told the receptionist she was here to see me. The receptionist laughed. "Do you have an appointment?" She pulled the personal friend card. Didn't work. Eventually, Janine came down. Her tone was ice in heels. "Ma'am, I've been instructed not to let you within 50 feet of Mr. Sterling's time. You'd think that'd be the end of it. But desperation has no pride." That night, I got a voicemail. Her voice cracked halfway through. She said she missed us. She talked about memories, about fate, about second chances, about how she was a different person now. And you know what? Maybe she was. But I wasn't interested in the remix of a song that already ruined my ears. I forwarded the voicemail to Janine. Told her to draft a polite cease and desist letter. Just enough legal language to make it clear. This wasn't a reunion. It was a restraining of history. Because here's the truth no one wants to say out loud. Not every chapter deserves a sequel. She left because I wasn't enough. She returned because I was now too much for her to ignore. I didn't slam the door in her face. I just made sure she knew there was no door left. Funny thing about people who think they can trade loyalty for opportunity. They forget the world is smaller than it looks. 1 minute you're the golden girl. laughing at the poor boy who dared to love you. The next, you're radioactive, and nobody wants to sit next to you at the table. After she tried and failed to claw her way back into my life, the ripple effect started. Word travels fast when you burn a man who built an empire. She lost her freelance contracts one by one. Not because I blackballed her. I didn't have to. See, success has a memory. People notice when you humiliate someone who made you. Investors, brand owners, partners, they saw her name pop up and remembered the high school reunion video. Oh yeah, that woman. The one who laughed at the man she could have built an empire beside. Risky. Untrustworthy. Bad optics. She didn't even see it coming. Thought the world would move on while she quietly reinvented herself. But the world she gambled on? It didn't want gamblers. It wanted survivors. Her cousin unfollowed her. Her old co-workers stopped inviting her to networking brunches. Even the women who used to sip mimosas with her and call her queen started posting passive-aggressive quotes about loyalty and karma. Poetic, isn't it? And as for me, the ink dried on my next move. A venture capital fund. Not just investing in tech, but people. The overlooked. The ones who, like me, had been laughed at, underestimated, stepped over. At the launch event, surrounded by glass walls and skyline views, the press asked me, "What's the driving force behind your philosophy of investing in the underdog?" I smiled. Because the world always bets on the wrong horses first. I'm here for the ones still running when everyone else stops clapping. They ate it up. Headlines the next morning didn't just mention me, they praised me. From rejected to revered, how one man redefined success. The king of comebacks. Why betting against him is the worst mistake you'll ever make. And somewhere out there, I knew she was reading every word. Maybe sitting in some leased apartment on a frayed couch. Maybe scrolling through a cracked phone she couldn't quite afford to upgrade. Maybe realizing that when you burn bridges, you better hope the other side doesn't learn how to fly. Because I didn't just rebuild the bridge. I built the whole damn skyline. You can always tell when a person's run out of real moves. They stop playing chess and start flipping the board. 3 months after the launch of my venture fund, 3 months of silence, of her watching from the sidelines while I kept winning, she pulled her final card. A lawsuit. Filed quietly. Hidden in the county clerk's office, probably thinking I'd never notice until it was too late. The claim? That I emotionally manipulated her during our marriage, thus contributing to her financial instability and emotional distress. In other words, he was mean to me because he succeeded without me. I laughed when Janine dropped the packet on my desk. Real, full-throated, can't-breathe laughter. She thought she could drag me into court. Thought she could force a payout. Thought maybe if she couldn't stand next to me at the victory parade, she could at least pick my pocket during it. The thing is, when you come at a king, you better not miss. And she missed by a mile. Because while she was busy printing out sob stories and highlighting imaginary trauma, I was busy documenting everything. I still had every email, every text, every photo from the years she mocked me for chasing impossible dreams, while she chased the next guy with a better paycheck. You want receipts? I own the whole store. My lawyer, a wolf in a tailored suit who once got a mobster's son acquitted on a technicality, filed a motion to dismiss so sharp it might as well have been a guillotine. Attached were screenshots. The reunion footage. The emails where she joked about upgrading to a real man. Photos from her vacations with 2 different boyfriends during our separation, funded by who knows what schemes. It wasn't just thrown out. It was laughed out of court. The judge didn't even waste breath. Dismissed with prejudice, meaning she couldn't try again. Sanctioned her for wasting the court's time. And when the records went public, because lawsuits always do, it was like setting fire to the last scraps of her reputation. Her old friends, what few remained, ghosted. Her job prospects shriveled like dead leaves. And the worst part for her? She became a joke. Not even a villain. Just a walking, talking cautionary tale. Don't be like her, people whispered. Don't bet against the quiet ones. Meanwhile, I was too busy planning the grand opening of my new headquarters to even send her a no hard feelings card. Because there weren't any hard feelings anymore. Not anger. Not sadness. Just nothing. The opposite of love isn't hate. It's indifference. And when she tried to weaponize my past against me, all she really did was prove she no longer had a future of her own. After the lawsuit collapsed like a wet cardboard box, the drama was over. Tied up. Clean break.